many fans you are in this year.
Hello and welcome back to Round 2 Back 9 FPO lead card coverage of the 2023 Skellefteå Open north of Sweden. We are bringing you this exciting coverage brought to you by MDG Media. We have had a hot start to the front nine with some players losing pace towards the end. A very difficult hole, extremely technical. We take a look at the standings here. Silva Saarinen coming into the round as your leader and retaining that sole position. 2 strokes over Jenny Karppinen in second, with 2 players, Ella and Nicola, tied in third, and Rachel also here on this lead card in the back nine in 5th place. We'll kick off this back nine here on hole number 10, a 105 meter par 3. You have a classic tunnel with 2 gaps to choose from, although I think most players here will be leaning on that backhand. You can go the turnover in this left or down the right on a power hyzer. There is OB to the road right and beyond, although it's pretty much out of play, and anything that bleeds too far to the left into those thicks can be provided some relief, but a lot of players are just going to want to try and dig the hill on this slightly elevated basket and make their putt. Rachel getting us started here with the power hyzer. The winds have picked up throughout the day here. Hole 10, you see that affecting the disc. Rachel there overturning it a little bit into the right side rough. Jenny here looking to make the correction. I think not all the way, but a nice line in the fairway. Likely looking at a long putt. Silva now. Definitely has the power, but also overturning this one. That actually kicks to the right side, away from the fairway. There is a secondary fairway at a sort of open space if you go through the trees, but definitely not where you want to be. As Nicola also pushing that right side, but coming out clean on the other end. Plays the hyzer. Silva here. Solid approach from a tough stance. Rachel leaning on that overstable forehand approach. Nicola with the putt. You can see that at this range, especially given the slope in the elevated basket, not many players are going to get too aggressive from outside the circle. You want to get yourself nice and close up at the top. Rachel here left with a little bit of a tester. And strong side chains, but maybe a little bit high and right. You saw she caught a lot of meat on that, but just falling straight down. Jenny, Silva, and Nicola all coming up to putt for their threes. Rachel, unfortunately, will be taking the bogey here. This hole 10 shows its teeth. Hole 11, a 185 meter par 5. Off the tee you have this open field leading to this narrow tunnel. A slightly late gap, you want your disc to pierce through here and battle anywhere to the left around this corner. You see the snaking fairway go first left and then back to the right, as well as sloping slightly uphill. Fairway becomes quite treacherous at this point between the low ceiling as well as the significant right to left slope and drop off behind the basket. This is a really touchy battle up this hill and to this very perched green right at the spine of the mound. Anything that goes long or short can be at risk of rollaway, so gonna test the player's angle control significantly. Jenny up first. Looking to play the wide hyzer, but keeping it a little bit too wide there. Silva keeping it more inside, and she fires all the way down there with a huge flare and skip. That is an amazing position to be, as she'll be now looking straight through the second gap. That is a fantastic spot. You see it's a par 5 at only 185, but not without its danger. Nicola there flipping it up to flat for a little bit too long, but fortunately filtering through back into that tunnel. A nice shot there from Rachel, very similar to Silva's line and a very similar result. Really nicely up there, hugging that inside with an overstable finishing disc, and she gets the full ground play. Also potentially a finished disc. Shout out to Prodigy. As we see Jenny there just pitching out to the corner. And Nicola as well, just needing to put themselves into position. Very rare that you can battle up that gap on your second shot. Rachel pushing that forehand a little bit too straight, had a lot of power on it. Likely was going to make its way up the fairway. Silva here, from an ideal tee position. You see her battle her way up. That is a putt for eagle here on hole 11 for Silva Saarinen. It's going to be a long one, but she's a fantastic putter. We mention it all the time because it's true, and you see the results that brings her on the course. The amount of times this season alone that we've seen her in the solo lead position, really impressive. And we see now here the dangers of the slope of a slightly errant upshot. Rachel using the forehand and actually shaping the anhyzer as that flattens out towards the end will match the grade of the hill, ensuring that there is no ground play. Just landing it nice and flat. And he catching a small slide as well, but settling. Nicola needing to go for that scramble anhyzer forehand. And she's pushed it too straight. You saw that she had barely any angle, needing to go with so much anhyzer. Silva catching the eagle putt from way downtown. Incredible. An amazing drive, a smooth upshot, and a huge putt to secure the eagle 3 on hole 11 for your leader, Silva Saarinen. Wow. Nicola firing over the hill, going back into the trees. She pitches up and says, I'm done here. Let's walk away from this hole. Rachel with a smooth birdie putt. Nicely done. Well delivered into the basket. Jenny taking the par. And Nicola here, not as fortunate. She will be taking the double bogey, finding some troubles on the way as well as on the green. Shows you just how demanding that very specific shape on hole 11 is. We move to hole 12, a 108-meter par 3 from an elevated tee. You have two available fairways here, both to the right and the left of this dividing tree line. Either way, you want to fight through this gap and then get over this small puddle of OB water directly before the basket. You do not want to come up low or short unless you are shy of the water, in which case you can even sometimes be left with a putt over the water towards the green. You need to make sure that you throw this confidently and go pin high or longer, or recognize that you're trying to lay up before the water and then cross on the second. Silva with a lot of turn on that. Again, these elevated tees, if you throw really nose down, it can give your disc a significant more understability than it might usually have. Rachel falling about halfway through the initial tunnel. We'll see if Jenny Karppinen can hit it clean here. And a great shot as she battles through and hits that back hillside. She'll be putting laterally away from the water, but may have that tree to contend with. Nicola here going really understable with a lot of hyzer. She really does like to shape these shots, but unfortunately connecting with those dividing trees and kicking to the right. We'll see Rachel up first here. This is a tough upshot. She's going to opt for the standstill backhand hyzer flip. Oh, and really touchy, brings it up just short of the water. Like I said, that's the decision you really need to make here. Anything in between will be punished. So a great pace, speed and height control from Rachel. And a similar result there. Silva now, I think likely going to try to cross the water. And she fires well past it and will now be putting back towards the basket and the OB water from under a tree for her 3. Curious to see if she runs that with a full confidence. Speaking of running it with full confidence, Nikola Moravsova. Amazing circle 2 over the water, catching high and right and dunking that one in. Really smooth putt to save the par. Rachel may be inspired now. Absolutely cashes it from about 11 meters. Some confident putts from across the water there. Really nice stuff from our FPO lead card. Jenny for birdie. Oh, and although her putt was fading left away from the water, she catches the less friendly of the 2 metals. As we see Silva there tapping in for bogey. She did just pitch up then from behind the hill. And Jenny taking the same result, although in a very different fashion. That disc is left in the water, and she moves on. Hole 13, a 104-meter par 3 with OB lining the left side the entire way. You want to push something that first turns over to the right if you're a right-handed backhand thrower, and then finds a late fade between these large trees. This one really requiring the right line. You can choose to go an anhyzer release with an overstable disc. You can also lean on more understability, playing the hyzer flip to turnover, but a really ideal shot will finish to the left while staying well to the right side of the fairway. Rachel throwing the FX2 there. Gets a late release from the hand, and as it began to turn, it was already in the trees. She will be significantly short of the basket and will still have to scramble. Nicola now. And you see frustration from her as well as she just grounds it really low out of the hand. And it's, although left side OB can come into play pretty quickly, this is one of the more forgiving fairways. There's no immediate trees. And Silva with a beautifully shaped shot pushes all the way up there, first turning right, fading out left. That is an amazing shot, putting her at about 6 or 7 meters out. That's exactly the line. As Jenny now is only 1 stroke behind Silva. She has gone 3 for 3 birdies on this back 9. This is pushing these late Guardians, and she sneaks through, but will be left with an awkward C2 putt. Potentially just laying that up if the ceiling or branches are too much of an obstacle. Nicola now with a lot of work left. She'll want to ensure that this ends to the right of the basket. Yeah, not bringing that OB into play. Nice control. Jenny with a simple upshot there, shaping it through those trees. Oh, Nicola catching the confident putt. Really nice as she's putting it together on the greens of 12 and 13. Both of them for par save, but really solid putting now. This is Silva for birdie. Rachel securing the par there. Unable to find the birdie so far on this back nine. Rather on hole 11, she did find it actually. Playing as a par 5, she did a great job on a tricky hole there. As we see. So a short tap in remaining. A whole mixed bag for our lead card. Hole 14. A par 4 sitting at 187 meters. You have the early Mando tree on the left side, forcing you to play down this tunnel here. As you break out through the gap, you want your disc to end significantly straightwards, not going too far right or left. As you then have to play a hyzer for most players around this corner and trying to attack the green. You see, of course, water directly in that landing zone. You need to ensure that you go long or left of the basket in order to stay in play. There is also OB lining the left side the whole way after the Mando, so anything that fades too early left will not only find the trees but also a potential penalty stroke. Silva on the tee. Smooth shot for Silva there, turning over through the gap, getting a strong finish. Rachel going to be playing the forehand here, again, just to avoid that left side OB, ensuring that she's fading towards safety, and she has some great distance on this. Getting that soft flex out through the gap, fading before that last tree. She's also in a great position, and being more to the right of the fairway also opens up the bend to the left on your second shot, so it is quite ideal both for aggression on the second as well as safety on the first to try and move to the right. And Nicola has done just that as well. Jenny here going high and turned over, although quite nose up. She fades out a bit early and will be tucked away on that left side. Still safe, but not an ideal position to try and beat the corner on the second. We will have Nicola up first. She's given it the height and the hyzer. She's going to come up shy of this water and once again try and make the putt over it. She's shown that she has quite a lot of power on the putt, so always giving it a chance from that C2 distance. Rachel as well, but pushing the water, she comes up just inside over the edge. You can see that very specific shape of pond with that initial leg coming out towards the thrower. Very dangerous. That's where a lot of throws will want to try and skip and land. Jenny just playing a positional shot, now playing for par. She gets out there into the open, but of course still with the water to contend with. Won't be an easy upshot. Silva getting a little bit more aggressive here, but from that angle not much to be done. She doesn't get too big of a skip, and she'll also be left to go over the water. Jenny, an important shot here, currently tied with Nicola. Oh, and she runs it. Going deep, that's exactly what you want, although you see the putt she's left with now. Very scary, especially considering what happened to her just earlier off the cage and into the water. It may remain in her mind. Nicola's done it again! Amazing stuff. Rachel now. A healthy bid. And a scary putt for Jenny. She knows Nicola took the birdie there, and she cashes that one. Really nice. Securing the par after pitching out. Even gave it a run for birdie from really early on. You see all of these players taking their time putting towards the water. Not Silva though, she's right up there tapping in for her bogey. Very colourful scorecard for our leader, Silva Saarinen. We move to hole 15, a 150 meter par 4 straight the entire way with OB to the right and the left. You can choose to just pitch up with your first one about 75 and try to go 75 again. Try to mitigate some of that OB to the right and left with a slower speed disc, but a lot of players will still try and bomb the driver, get as much distance up there as you can, leaving yourself a short upshot, or even if you have a huge arm, trying to push a long look to eagle. An exciting hole that could really be a score separator. Nicola there coming out once again quite low. Jenny here giving it a bit more height, but quite an overstable disc. You see it did not want to turn at all, fading left of that center tree. She's still in a fine spot and got a full flight, so likely enough distance to still be attacking for birdie. Silva here really going for it. She's shown to have a huge arm, and she's crushed this over 100 meters. Right in the middle. That's a nice shape and a great drive. Rachel also getting that Anheuser release with a stable disc and another display of distance from her, showing off just how much and how accurately she can get off the tee. Another great shot. Nicola here in such an awkward position. A good forehand stretch out distance though, progressing down the fairway, keeping it in the middle, really trusting the stability of that disc low to the ground. This is Jenny's upshot here. A soft hyzer and smooth as right in the bullseye. She knows we saw that. Yeah, simple work for Silva and soon Rachel, I'm sure, as well, with some great drives. But actually, Nicola up first. This is her third throw now. Looking to be putting. And a nice safe layup there. She does have a lot of power on those putts and can use them as a tool, whether she's trying to put it in or not. Rachel here. Very high on the hyzer, and she'll be left with a low ceiling, a slightly longer putt than she would like, with a great drive. She's given herself a little bit of work now. We'll see if she can clean this up for birdie. And she does. Really nicely done. Still translating the amazing drive, even with a tricky upshot. It can be frustrating sometimes when you make it harder on yourself than it needs to be, but a very nice birdie regardless. With a great drive and a great putt. Nicola securing the par from a very tough lie off the tee. Both Silva and Jenny tapping in their birdies. Silva moving to 3 under and Jenny 1 over.
Latitude 64's boys down here. Just finished checking out the telemetry from your map, and everything is A-okay.
Hey, Jonathan, catch. Huh?
Warning, low oxygen. Warning, low oxygen.
Jonathan, we're getting an anomalous critical failure on your suit. Could you please confirm status?
Low oxygen.
Sorry, man.
Warning, low oxygen.
We move on to hole 16. A 185 meter par 4 that snakes through the woods the whole way. You have this first left to right shape as you want something to turn over and then flatten out as far up as you can get. The fairway then pushes forwards and back to the left as you have these 2 skinny trees very often getting in the way. You want to wrap around this bend to the left where the basket is tucked away just inside the tree line. This one is very attackable with a great tee shot, but anything that isn't in prime position makes it very awkward. A lot of players with an imperfect lie will try and battle through the trees, although the gaps are very small. You have to pick your risk and reward, and if you're not right in the fairway, hit some small gaps. We have Jenny up first here. Slightly overturned, didn't quite get the full distance, but very much in the fairway. And to the right side should open up that bend to the left if she's far enough, although I think she still has a lot of work to do before that bend. We'll see Silva try and get some distance here, I'm sure. Shaping this turn over really nicely. Look at the long extended turn into fade. A great height to ensure that she gets nose down for distance, but enough height to really fly beautifully. An ideal shot there from Silva. She's looking really smooth right now in this back nine. Rachel going to be playing this power forehand. I think no surprise there. She's incredibly comfortable with that and very proficient, as you see a beautiful shape there. Right up into a pretty great spot. Nicola here has shown to really like to use and shape these understable discs, but overturning it just a touch could have given it more height or a slightly less Anheuser release. As she's left with a lot of distance bite off, she's going to go forehand here and just try to play around these late trees. And she's done just that. That should be no problem for her to try and salvage par. A nice placement shot. Good distance as well for the standstill forehand. Jenny pushing this one forwards the whole way, getting in between the trees with the turnover. Also a great display of distance from the standstill position. Rachel here right in center fairway. Going to be pushing this D1 up to flat and then around the corner as she hugs the inside the whole way, actually sneaks out the end. That could have been much worse had she caught something, but I think although she might not have a short look for birdie, she's still in a fine spot. Silva off an immaculate drive. Gives a solid upshot, coming up just a little bit shy of the basket. She will still have some distance to get around those late trees. Jenny up first. Oh, and catching one of the trunks there on her way in. Getting a roll back. That will be a just inside the circle putt from about 9 meters. Nicola here has shown to be really aggressive on putts from all distances. This one she's just looking to lay up an incredibly long putt, and she comes up a bit shorter than I think she'd like. An interesting choice there not to throw it and try to give it a push, but she knows her game and she knows where her strengths lie. Executing a game plan, I'm sure. Rachel there cutting through the trees. Nice placement shot. She'll be left with a short putt for 4. Silva here with the wide straddle for birdie. Oh, so close. And a nice display of her flexibility, and both in physically and in decision making there, able to give a very different putting stroke than what she would normally throw. Jenny off the top flag. You see some frustration for her there. And understandably so, as she's coming towards the back of this round too. She's put together a pretty nice round. Nicola leaving herself just inside the circle and cashing it. She knows what she's capable of, and she's ready to do that here on the greens. Great to see some confident putts. Jenny putting that one in for bogey after the slight misfire on the green. Silva securing a stress-free par here on hole 16. And as you can see, that's absolutely no problem. None of our lead cards securing the elusive birdie here. So par is the score to play for. We move to 17, a fun island hole with a drop zone if you don't make it. Par 3 sitting at 69 meters. You want to hit the island with whatever straight low-speed disc you want to throw. You can go backhand, forehand. We even saw a few players in the MPO field throw overheads. So it is a pick your shot and hit the island situation. Silva playing a soft flex, actually fires it long. We saw that disc get a bit of shape and a lot of glide on that. She'll be left putting from the drop zone. Rachel going with the overstable forehand, but that is not leftwards enough, as she also will fade out shy of the island. She'll be meeting Silva at the drop zone putt. We'll see if Nicola can stick this. Oh, just a little bit low, much straighter flying line. Something between Silva's and Nicola's is what you want. Jenny sticking the island. There you go, playing a soft hyzer the whole way. Also very low, but a great speed to ensure that she gets it there. We'll see 3 drop zone putts. Silva up first, just a little bit low, but hits the bottom of the pin. We'll see if Rachel can find this very long putt. She's going to be doing that power straddle jump. Oh, and she too catches some of the basket. Not enough to bite off a full chunk, but very close and a good bid. Nicola on fire all day from C2, also catching the basket. None of those drop zone putts coming in, and Jenny here for the lone birdie look. And just low, she does not manage to translate that, but will still be getting a stroke on her card mates here, as she'll be putting this one in for 3 now. And the rest of her card tapping in for 4s on 17. She could have had a 2-stroke swing, but still taking a stroke. It'll be frustrating to miss a putt from that short, but still an absolutely fine score. Rachel taking her time on all the putts. Speaking with her briefly, she did mention back in Kona Peach Day that she likes to take her time and be thoughtful in her routine. The final hole 18, a 191 meter par 4. It is a straight, pure tunnel shot the entire way. You have OB lining the left side as well as OB long of the basket. You want to keep it in bounds, and if anything, err to the side of the right of the fairway due to there being no OB lines. You want to fire straight through this tunnel as far as you can twice, and then make your way to this elevated green to test your putt and your nerves after a long round. See if you still got it. And anything up the hill on that road and beyond is OB as well if you come in a little bit too fast. A great hole, very tricky birdie, and really demanding. I think a lot of players happy with the 4 here. We have Jenny up first. Yeah, really nicely done from Jenny there. Playing to the right side on hyzer the whole way. A good placement shot about halfway up the fairway, maybe a touch less, but great position. Silva not getting quite the same fortune there through that gap. We'll be left with about 150 still to the pin. Rachel too leaning on that power hyzer. She is quite comfortable with those one angle shots. And Nicola here. Really pushing that right side and not able to fade in time on a steep hyzer angle. Silva up first is fading towards OB here, but settling safe, very touchy. She got a lot of distance though, considering her lie, and she should still be playing for par there, looking to work her way to the basket. This is Nicola playing the power forehand. And that will be very pinched with a lot of trees in the way. I'm not sure how much distance she'll be able to get on her third shot from that position. We'll see what she can make of it. This is Rachel from a great drive. Playing ping pong down the fairway. A great skip, and she works her way into the circle there. Check that out off the tree. I'm sure she'll be all right with that result. All things considered, she'll be putting for birdie. Jenny also from an amazing drive. Has this straight look remaining. Playing the hyzer flip, comes out a little bit low and not enough height to fly all the way, although it looks like it had the speed. She can likely just pitch up for a tap-in par from there. Running anything at this elevated basket from too far away can find you in trouble. And speaking of trouble, Silva there, catching the trees on her way, not yet to the green. I think still throwing, and that will be her 4th. So you see Nicola also pitching out from that right side rough. These trees can be incredibly unforgiving. And another great example of a fairway that leaves you with a different lie. On a lot of different times you play it, it's rare that you're in the exact same landing spot every time. Nicola playing the forehand hyzer flip, and she too catches those last trees of the tunnel, similar to Silva. And they'll both be left with a long look. Silva bleeding out to the left side. That was her 4th shot. So she'll be putting her 5th for bogey from that tough position. Jenny with a simple jump putt from there. She'll be putting in for par most likely from that position. She'll have a look at par. And similar approach there from Nicola. Although not for par. She pitches up. Silva here for bogey. A really important moment for our leader. She goes by it on the right side. She'll be putting back now for a 6. We have Rachel up first to close out her 2nd round. Oh, and just off the band, gets a little bit of a bounce. We'll see if Jenny here can find this and break the seal of the chains. Strong side. A good height on the elevated basket. She secures that for a par. You see her sitting at 2 over. This is Silva for double bogey now, which would put her back to even. And she puts that one in, securing the 6. She obviously missed one of those putts, but the throwing really what got her in trouble on that final hole. As well as 17. Silva bleeds a few strokes, but still a solid round from Silva, even managing to get that awesome eagle on hole 11. We see Nicola there also taking the 6, and Rachel with the turbo tap in for par, securing a +2 round for the day. As we take a look at the standings, Silva still retaining her solo leader position, setting at +1 for the round and even overall. Jenny Karppinen also holding that second place at +2. Ella and Rachel now tied for third at 4 over. Nicola has fallen back to 6th. An exciting battle here in round 2. Some great score separators, a very technical course, some good weather, and some amazing disc golf. We appreciate you joining us here today at MTG Media. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you for the exciting conclusion over on round 3.